right, well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's almost, we're a couple of hours away from noon, from the afternoon then, but good morning, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and I want to tell you what we've got going on behind me here. Actually, other side's probably going to be better here. So we have this complex of storms in Oklahoma here. I've been watching this, and what I'm interested in is to see how far south it can make it. Now, part of what's kind of matters about this is the fact that yes, it's moving due south and it would most likely move east of our area. However, if you look, we do see more development farther to the west here. Now this has kind of been off and on. The other thing you see is that there is an outflow boundary here moving right through Norman, just moved through Ada there. So that's going to continue farther south. Here's what I'm watching. Not only do we have additional development, but by the time this thing moves through, or whatever's left of it at that point, it will be in the afternoon hours, probably 2, 3, 4 o'clock time period. So if it does move in, then we could be looking at the possibility of either what's left of the existing storm complex moving through, or we could have new development as this energy moves southward and we get into that daytime heating. So there are a few possibilities here. The next chance of rain after that would be some storms that look to develop right around the Red River area and then try to move south. That's going to be a little more scattered in nature. So that would probably be around 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. So late tonight. For the moment though, looks like 2, 3, 4 o'clock if this line can move through. And by the way, if things look a little different on the video, I'm testing out a new camera that's not been playing nicely with the green screen. So if things look a little fuzzy or a little weird, you can see my hand there not looking as clear, and you can see that shadow, of course. Yeah, I mean, things are not exactly looking the way I want them to with the green screen, but we'll get there. We'll get that figured out. So I do want to get into some of the details here as far as what to expect the rest of the day. See if I can get what looks like a broken, I think this is courtesy of my youngest. There we go. Let's see if we can go back there. So for today, the severe weather risk here, and we are now included in that marginal risk that has been pushed to the southwest here. Again, we're also seeing that southwestern development on that complex of storms, so a little bit of correlation here. So you can see that we are now included in this marginal risk. If we get any severe storms later today, I'm really not expecting much, but if we do get any severe storms, it would be some gusty winds, small hail, that kind of thing. Not much, really not much to talk about. Not talking about any kind of a outbreak today or anything of that sort, but we could see just a few of those get a little bit spicy for our area. Now temperatures today, this will not help us out in terms of avoiding summer heat, but it could keep us a degree or two below the triple digit mark, which, hey, I'll take that. 98, 99 degrees. I think farther south you have a higher likelihood of seeing warmer temperatures there because you'll see less chance of getting that rain. Also, I think, if nothing else, that we could possibly see probably some cloud cover that will help as well. So I have us just, again, a degree or two below 100 today. So we'll take whatever we can get. Overnight tonight, not much cooler, 78, 79 degrees, and that is above that normal here. And I do need to make sure from this point on that our live sponsors up here, normally this is pre-recorded stuff, so I have to kind of adjust this a little bit. So see, let's get the clock on there too. There we go. All right, so that you can know that this is live here. So here we go. Okay, so here we have the heat advisory. This is going to stay in place probably most of the week. Right now it's set to expire at 7 o'clock this evening. I expect somewhere between 12 and 1 o'clock the National Weather Service will update this, and this will stay in place through 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and then on and on and on and on. We'll continue to see that that trend, these extensions throughout probably the rest of the forecast period here, because it will be hot and it will be humid. We could see temperatures in the low hundreds, 100, 101 most of the rest of the week, and then that will translate into heat index values of 105, 106, 107, possibly up to 110, unfortunately, for some of us. I will be watching to see if we can get any kind of break from the humidity here, but unfortunately it's just going to be in the sticky range for quite some time. Your allergens are in the low to medium range here, but I mean, we're still feeling it. I know that there's a lot of folks still feeling it, and it's primarily grass. There's still a lot of folks mowing their yards, so that's kicking up a lot of the grass out there. So you will be feeling that too. Now, talking about the tropics, there's a couple of things to point out here. One, right here in the Eastern Caribbean, that system could move into familiar territory here. This is where Alberto got started, and we had another wave behind him. So that looks to move across the Yucatan into the Bay of Campeche and then possibly into the Gulf of Mexico, or it could just go overland into Mexico before anything really gets started. And then, we'll see what that does, but it has a 20% chance of development in the next 7 days. And then further out in the main development region here, this is what we call the main development region between Western Africa and the Caribbean Sea here. So this area, this is where we usually see these storms develop. You just kind of see a corridor here where you see little systems that try to develop. Right now we have one out there with a 30% chance of development in the next 7 days. So not anything immediately interesting here, but worth watching. And it is a sign, again, the main development region, which is called that for a reason, it is starting to wake up, and we are seeing more development there. So stay tuned for that as well. Here's the big picture. Do we not have that graphic? Man, I was proud of that graphic. All right, let me see if I can grab that here. It does not want to go. We'll just go back to radar here for a second. And you know what? Let me just step out of the way so you can see that complex there. And let me get this fixed. This is what happens when you're live. Unfortunately, is man, corrupted file. Why is it doing that to me? So, again, this is what happens when it's live television, everybody. Bummer. I say live television, it's live on the internet, but for all the people that are late here, while that's downloading, we'll get back to the forecast here in a moment, but we do see this complex of storms that is in Oklahoma right now that is moving due southward, and you're probably looking at that going, that's going to go east of us, why do we care? I'm watching for more development farther to the west and southwest. So as this continues on, the two things I'm watching are for more development to the west, right here from Durant to Ardmore, possibly back towards Duncan, to see if some of that can sag due southward. And then we do have a bit of an outflow boundary that has been developed here from about just south of Norman, south of Ada. And as that moves southward, we'll have to watch two things. One, how much of this existing complex continues on south of our area, and then how much of this energy will come in and possibly spark new storms as we get into the daytime heating, the peak heating of the day, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, which is probably when this will move through. So that's what I'm paying attention to here, and that's why I decided to do this live broadcast, because as someone said on the page earlier, definitely do a broadcast anytime we have a chance of rain, and that's probably what we're going to end up doing anytime there's something worth talking about. So we'll do that for you, and we'll get to the forecast here just momentarily. Let me just make sure that this is working. Okay, here we go. All right, this is what I want to show you. We have the high pressure system here, and I don't unfortunately have, I think that's part of what was throwing it off, is this animation here that's going to show okay, that's why. You can tell that I haven't done this in a few weeks, huh? Here we go. So as we watch this high pressure system over New Mexico here, southern New Mexico, we are on the east side of it, which means that we are getting a northerly flow. You might ask, why are we not getting a north wind? Well, unfortunately, that's aloft. The winds at the surface are definitely coming right out of the Gulf here. So bringing all that Gulf moisture in, that's why it's so humid. And we are on that eastern side, which means we do have that easterly flow, which means it is pushing that storm system to the south. So kind of a win-lose situation here. It is pushing some of this rain, but unfortunately this Gulf moisture, this southerly flow is so strong that we could end up seeing more heat advisory territory the rest of the week, because not only will we be in the upper 90s and 100s, we will have that humidity following through. So the good news, bad news, it is helping to push this rain southward and might, just might, bring us some rain later today. We'll circle back over to the radar here shortly. But this ridge of high pressure is going to keep us warm and dry for the next several days here. Unfortunately, this front won't make it down here. We're kind of in a pattern right now. The other reason I wanted to show you this is you can literally see the flow going around us. This is what's familiar to us this time of year. We get this ridge of high pressure, and then we just watch everything go around us. You can see the northerly motion of all of this in Boise, Idaho, and there in Utah. And then it starts to move, and you can see the southerly movement here. So unfortunately, everything's going to come in and go around us here. So we'll watch this move eastward here, and as it does the rest of the week, yeah, we're going to be pretty warm. Unfortunately, pretty warm and dry for the most part. This is the only chance of rain I see in the 7-day forecast. So let's get to that here. 7-day forecast today, I've got a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Again, there's two opportunities. One late this afternoon, 2, 3, 4 o'clock probably. We'll see what that complex storm north does. And then one tonight as storms develop along the Red River and hopefully pull southward far enough to make it into our area. I have us at 99 degrees today. The reason I have us below 100 is I think we'll see at least more cloud cover from those storms to our north, if not possibly a shower or two or a storm or two right around daytime heating. So that could limit our heating there. So I think that at least most of us could be below 100 degrees today. Unfortunately, Thursday we go back to 100. The saving grace we have there, though, is that even though we are around 99, 100 going into the weekend, we do have increasing winds. So there will at least be a breeze. That will help when you're in the shade. So really, the name of the game over the next several days will be shade, and of course staying hydrated as well. Saturday, I will be at the Chrysalis to Wings cook-off event in Waxahachie. I think we're at the Central Presbyterian Church. I've got a really nice area there, a shaded area, and there's I believe there's a covering with fans and that kind of thing. So we'll make sure that people are staying cool there. I think we may even try to get a misting fan out there as well. But we will make sure that folks are cooler at that event. And I'll be judging hamburgers, so we'll see what happens there too. But Sunday, looks like winds start to maybe subside a little bit. A little early to know what the wind is going to look like early next week, but it does look like the temperatures uptick a couple of degrees. So that's still 6 days out. But it does look like next week we will be in pretty solid 100 degree territory. I mentioned this morning, I'm kind of hoping maybe we have a 2011-like situation. That's when we had temperatures that were pretty high in June, but then they kind of took a little bit of a break in August. 1980, I believe, was the opposite. I think we had a decent June, but then July and August cooked. So we will see what happens. I'm hoping that maybe we won't have 3 solid months of very hot temperatures. We'll see what happens over the next couple of months. And people have already asked me, what do you think this summer is going to look like? It is hard to say this far away. It just kind of depends on what the high pressure does and those kind of things. So we'll see how things proceed. But I want to go back to the radar here and just kind of check up on what we're seeing. So as I mentioned, I continue to watch for more development to the west, and it looks like maybe some of that is falling apart. If anything, on the western flank of this system, it's been kind of here and there, up and down. So the main complex here that's firing all of these severe thunderstorm warnings, that will continue on due south. That does look like it will miss us. That's going to move towards Paris, Sulphur Springs, Tyler, and Jacksonville there. But I am watching to see what happens later today, again, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, to see what happens with the western flank of this system. Does the outflow boundary fire some new storms in the daytime heating? Do we continue to have this bubbly stuff that maybe as we heat up, we'll get more of that activity? It's hard to say at this moment, but I'm going to continue to monitor this through the rest of the afternoon. And I don't know if we have any questions. If we have any questions, I'll definitely take those from you. But let's get back into the comments here, and looks like there's maybe a couple of folks that just came in. yeah, maybe a few folks heard northeast Oklahoma collected over an inch of rain from the storms. Yeah, definitely more rain for those areas in eastern Oklahoma where this complex is moving through. Unfortunately for our area, we are not looking at much luck there. It does not look like we will get the lion's share of this system. Like I said, though, East Texas, from Paris to Sulphur Springs, Tyler, Jacksonville, Palestine, it will be interesting to see how much of this main complex makes it that far south. But again, it's just going to be questionable. It's going to be iffy if we're going to actually see this moving southward, if we will actually get into a situation where we get enough rain, maybe to clear up some of those cracks that are already in the ground. It's pretty crazy to think about the fact that we have been looking at just nonstop rain most of the month of May, and then now at the end of June, we're already cracking the ground. So it did not take long. And if we put on the radar mosaic here, let's actually shift gears and do that. This is actually quite a system here. You can see reaching all the way up into the St. Louis area here. So quite the complex that is moving down, and we would only be getting just the very, very end of it. So you notice the closer it gets to that high pressure area, that sinking air starts to take over and it's squashing most of this. So it's going to take quite a bit of lift to actually produce storms that would move into our area. So if they do, it would need daytime heating and I think some leftover energy here, or possibly an outflow boundary, something like that. So there are possibilities. Those are also variables that are hard to forecast. And so if we do get some storms, it's still possible, but it's fairly, I think, unlikely. Again, I just have a 30% chance. So if we don't get rain today, don't be surprised. But I'm hoping maybe we can at least get some clouds out of the deal and stay out of the hundreds. So stay tuned to South Metro weather the rest of the day today. Again, if you're seeing things look a little weird with the camera, I'm still trying to get this thing to play nicely with the green screen. Doesn't seem to want to do so. So you can probably see a little bit of if you look at me, you can probably see a little green line around me here, and I know the shadows are showing up a little more. But that's just kind of the way things work with some of these cameras. The last camera worked fairly well. It was just a much more complex, much more messy setup. So I was hoping to simplify things, but this is research and development season for me. This is summer when I have more time to play with new things and kind of see how things go. So we'll see if this camera pans out. May not. I don't know. But I will continue to play with that too, and I'm going to continue to monitor these storms to see if we might get a quick, short break with a little bit of rain for all of us in north central Texas. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more updates throughout the afternoon.